Good morning, everyone. I'm standing in the heart of downtown West Palm Beach, right in front of the AT&T building, where a hate speech crime was committed on Saturday night. A member of our synagogue called me in tears, trembling, telling me that on Saturday night there was a projection of swastikas and the most vile, disgusting statements made about Jews projected onto this building. And she sent me videos and images which made my blood stop, and was chilling to see the most disgusting, vile statements made about Jews right here in the center of downtown West Palm Beach. And of course the local police and FBI are involved, and it's believed that these are a group of troublemakers, anti-Semites, who staged the parking garage area with a van to project these images in very huge lasers on the building on Saturday night. And here it is that we're reading the Torah portion of Shemot, which talks about the first act of anti-Semitism against the Jewish people, which was through Pharaoh. And the Torah tells us in the very beginning of the story, how did the persecution and the drowning of Jewish babies in the Nile all begin? How did enslavement and the murder of innocent Jews begin? By Pharaoh spewing hate against the Jews. It all began with words. When he started to incite his people by saying the Jewish people are becoming too powerful, they're outnumbering us, they're going to overthrow us, just like the same messages on this building which talked about 9/11 and the Jews' involvement with the FBI and so on and so forth. And what the Torah is teaching us is that when we want to fight anti-Semitism, if we stand up when the Jews are being persecuted, it's too late. We have to stand up the minute hate words are spoken or projected onto a building. And here it has hit so close to home that this community, our Jewish community here, is rattled by this, to think that it's in our midst. But anti-Semitism has never gone away. It's been 3,300 years ago since Pharaoh was the first one to defame and to spew hatred against Jews. And we know the consequences in every generation when we remain silent. And therefore, this week's Torah portion teaches us that we cannot sit back. We have to stand up. We have to apprehend these perpetrators. We have to deal them justice for the crime that they've committed. Because yes, hate words are a crime, because ultimately they lead tragically to violence, as we've seen time and again. It's fascinating to me that it's on the AT&T building. AT&T always had a slogan, reach out and touch someone. God gave us the gift of words as a blessing so we could connect with one another, so we could form a human bridge between one soul and the next. Words of love and kindness and generosity and empowerment. That's the gift of speech, but never to use words in communication to cause hatred, which ultimately does lead to violence. And as a Jewish community, we must respond with force against this anti-Semitism, which is of course plaguing not just our community, but our entire country and the entire world. Last week in Lodz, Poland, construction workers are building a new building, and they were digging a foundation, and they came across a crate of 400 pieces of silver filled with Judaica, menorahs, candelabras from Shabbos candlesticks, Kiddush becher cups, all Jewish types of ritual objects. And they were wrapped in newspapers, German and Polish newspapers, and the dates on those newspapers was October 1939. Jews who were rounded up and put in the ghettos and sent to the concentration camps hid their valuables in the hopes of returning, but tragically was sent off to the camps and gassed and murdered, never to return. And here it is, 84 years later, this was discovered. And it was discovered in December. And these beautiful objects are being polished and restored. And on Hanukkah, in late December of this past month, the Jewish community filled those beautiful menorahs with oil and wicks and recited the blessings of lighting the menorah once again, 84 years after the owners perished. This is the story of the Jewish people. Time and again, hate has brought death and destruction upon the Jewish people. And those very newspapers that the Judaica was wrapped in contained articles in German and in Polish filled with anti-Semitism. And we see how the words bear testimony to the atrocities and the murder of 6 million. But ultimately, through light and goodness, the lights of the menorah, the lights of the Shabbos candlesticks burn brightly again. The Nazis are no longer here, but the Jews live on. Because ultimately, as King Solomon says, light banishes darkness. Ultimately, truth and goodness will prevail. Just like God prevailed in Egypt, we will prevail in our generation again. But we must learn the lessons of history and stand up and fight hate speech. Have a wonderful day.